Sally.Exe, a Sonic the Hedgehog game, lost video game creepypasta. I am a big fan of the Sonic the Hedgehog series, like a lot of people. I narrowed it down to the classic Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon shows, though, because I think the rest of Sega had spawned was rad crap to each to their own. I was browsing eBay the other day and I wondered if there would be any items about my favorite character from the series, Sally.Exe. Indeed, what I found was a plushie that was manufactured in Sega World of Sydney, which closed down due to lack of visitors in 2006. Those Sally plushies were very rare, but I didn't have the money to buy her and my parents would despise me for it. I examined the plushie for a while, as the article came with pictures. This Sally even had her jacket on it. Was written with a permanent marker, God. I don't really know what it meant. Probably the initials of the child owning her before they sold her. I clicked the back button to return to the Sonic Sally search, knowing I wouldn't win the audition anyway, only to find another article had appeared. Sonic Saturday morning cartoon all episodes, with the price of $1 on instant buy. Saturday morning DVDs were never released where I came from. Bummer. So as happy as I was, I wanted to re-watch the show and checked out the article. It had no description and no address where it came from. Germany, Canada, etc. It was missing and the shipping price was stated to be free. I looked up at the photo of the article. It was a blank CD. I have decided to buy it anyway. Not just for the nostalgia, but the writing was great, and I loved Robotnik in the series. Well, it all started when the mail arrived. It arrived the next morning. Oddly, it was Sunday. I was happy to receive the episode and immediately put the blank CD into my laptop, starting the DVD. Sadly, the DVD didn't start, but it did offered me to show the file, so I opened the folder and saw a Sally.Exe application. I was confused at it being an EXE, but I started anyway. And indeed, it was playing a Saturday morning episode. The episode hooked on Sonic's began. The episode started out all normal, along with the intro, no blood or anything. But the sad thing was that my computer blue screened when the kissing scene of Sonic and Sally started. When Sally walks over to Sonic and kisses his cheek, he calls her kiss not so good and grants her a better one. And it was so cute too. The computer rebooted and I took the CD as I thought it malfunctioned and threw it away. I could have asked the person to give me my money back, but he can keep the $1 I gave him. I mean, it's just $1. I continued to normally browse the internet, speak to friends on Skype and all. Nothing was wrong until I was watching a random YouTube video. My cursor, the white arrow in case you don't know, started to completely spaz out. I disconnected my mouse, but the cursor continued to flash around the screen. I even deactivated my touchpad and it continued. Suddenly, it came to a stop and I carried on ignoring what had happened. Soon I found myself downloading a a ROM for the Sonic the Hedgehog fun game. As soon as it had downloaded, I started up my emulator and began the game. In the windowed mode, but oddly the complete screen went black. I shrugged it off and waited for the game to start. The familiar Sega jingle didn't sound well. It did, but as soon as it was slowed down and so much it sounded demonic and it gave me a cringe. The background remained in black and Sonic didn't run past the logo. It faded to black and some text appeared. At first it was a red font, but it looked like it was scratched onto my computer screen. Up for round 2, I blinked and flinched as the main screen came on. The sky was a dark gray and the clouds looked dull and black. Like right before a thunderstorm, the mountains were decayed and so was the logo. It even looked partly rusted, and I was amazed at the pixelated detail, but it also scared me. The Sega 1991 logo was now replaced with Sega 666. And the water was a bloody red. The familiar music wasn't played either. It was just a 16-bit mess of sounds. The demonic Sega occasionally mixed in. Instead of Sonic showing up, two characters appeared next to the logo, Tails and Knuckles. The sight of them terrified me even more. Tails' eyes were black and they were bleeding. His fur had become a dull gray / black as well as he had an expression of anguish on his face. Knuckles looked far worse. His red fur had darkened to a reddish gray. His dreadlocks were dripping with blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding like Tails. And he had a look of sadness on his face. Just then, I noticed a new character popped out of the middle of the logo. A pink, bubbly little hedgehog poked her head out. At first, she was smiling, but then frowned at what was around her. She looked confused and nervous, like she didn't know what was going on. Amy Rose, I thought? What is this all about? Curiosity drove me to press enter. A short yet loud static noise sounded and the screen faded. I wish I hadn't done so. Kyle didn't want to play with me. The writing appeared again. What a shame. But I can play with you, right? The demonic Sega jingle sounded again. As for a split second, an image flashed. It disappeared too fast, so I couldn't make it out. But I could swear I saw a red and black Sonic with black and red eyes. I almost felt them pierced me, and that moment made me jump. It It didn't begin in Green Hill Zone Act 1 though. I wish it did. Instead, the title card read Not Perfect Act 1. The game begun. The ground looked like the normal Green Hill Zone, but the background was pitch black. Amy stood normally where Sonic would be in the original games. Surprisingly, there was a well-made sprite. It wasn't her classic self, but her current self. It looked official even on the opposite side of the screen where Amy was at. There was a large silver ring in front of the ring stood the sprite of Sonic with a smile on his face. The animation of Amy standing there was that she stared forward with a lovey-dovey expressions as hearts came from her head here and there. I guess I should head to Sonic, I thought as I moved Amy towards Sonic, but Sonic ran away and jumped into the ring. I made Amy leave right after him. The level teleported to one of the stages where you can get a Chaos Emerald. The background was pink with love hearts all over. It looked cute, but I was distracted by only having 4 red/white colored spears to jump on, and I tried to balance Amy on top of it as she desperately tried to keep on onto of the spears but my control slipped and Amy fell. As I fell onto a wall of gold spears, just I thought I teleported back. A loud shriek sounded, and the image of this demonic Sonic continued to flash over the screen. The screen completely spazzed out, and I heard shrieks, loud shrieks from what I could swear it was Amy Rose herself. I kept hearing no, no, and the loud cries of agony and pain, which abruptly ended with more statics for a split moment before the screen cut to black. Soon the title screen appeared again. Knuckles and Tails were missing, but instead Amy appeared. She was smiling. Pardon me. Instead, Amy appeared. She was smiling her usual cute smile, but her body had holes. Not bleeding holes or bullet holes, just holes that had pierced her all over her body. That had pierced her body all over. Her colors faded to a dull black and white. Even her eyes looked oddly disfigured. This scared me so much my entire body began to itch. I scratched myself all over and over as I watched a new character appeared. I frowned upon seeing Cream. Oh, poor Cream. She's too young for this. She's only 6 years old. Anyways, who had a sheer terrified expression and huddled against the logo for comfort. Poor Cream. I wanted to quit the game, but as it forced, I hit start again and the screen faded. Kind and fair. The stage was blank. Now the stage The stage was blank now, and the background music was a drowned sounding and slower version of the Green Hill Zone. It nearly made me gag. But something forced me to play. The stage began, and Cream's sprite was like Amy's very well done. The environment was childish. It looked like a cute cutout. In front of Cream was the TV box that gave you higher speed. I made Cream crouch down and do a spin dash. I dashed ahead, crashing the boxes. That the level didn't change. The ground was a solid platform, and it seemed that Cream was going faster and faster, and she crashes more and more and more. I noticed the music got completely out of sync, which scared me. Suddenly, Cream crashed into a wall of spikes with a loud splat sound, which didn't even sound like it would belong in a 16-bit game. Poor Cream was torn to shreds. Blood dripped from the spikes and the bloody rabbit as the background slowly began to melt in front of my eyes as the image flashed again, and soon the title screen appeared. As expected, I was back to the title screen, and Cream appeared with Amy. She did look scared, but her other eye was how do I put it? Droopy and dead and bled a black goo. Her ears were all over her face now instead of the back of her head. Her color scheme changed from brown and orange to a very, very dark purple and red. Her dress was a dull gray. Time for the third character, and God, I did want to cry and weep when I saw Sally.Exe pop out of the damn logo, putting her innocent smile as she waved towards me like she didn't know what torture would happen to her. The game was so terrifying and yet so fascinating, but I wanted to stop real bad. But my hand wouldn't budge. I even started shaking. I wanted to reach for the power button, turn that damn thing off, but my hand just wouldn't move. And before I knew it, I already hit start and the screen faded. And this is where I stop for part 1. I will continue part 2 tomorrow when I have time and when I get a chance and have time for myself alone. But I'm only stopping for part 1 because I'm currently sick and I have not a head cold but COVID, and I'm trying to take it easy with both my throat, my nose, and my chest. And I don't want to push myself too much, so I'll see you guys tomorrow, and I'll continue with part 2 tomorrow. Stay tuned for part 2, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and turn on the notification bell to stay up to date for more videos from your girl, Megan Loves Katy Perry, and Jason Derulo. And now, this is where I stopped, and this is where I stopped the lift off, and this is where I stopped the lift off, and continue on with the story tomorrow. This is Megan Loves Katy Perry and Jason Derulo signing off. Bye and see you guys tomorrow.